What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be changing out a Mini Cooper steering wheel. This is my mom's 2017 Clubman. We are going to be replacing it with a brand new steering wheel, which is right over here, as you can see. So basically we're going to be walking through the process and the steps as to change out a brand new steering wheel for your F chassis Mini Cooper. This is the exact same on any F car, so Clubman, Countryman, 3-door, any F chassis car is going to be exactly the same. Some of the buttons and configurations are going to be different between years and models, but the whole removing and installing the steering wheel airbag is all exactly the same. So here we go. Alright, so these are the tools I'm going to be using today to remove and replace the steering wheel. This is a panel puller, 16 mil for the steering wheel with a little extension, 10 mil. I always use a little pocket screwdriver. This is for the retention springs in the back of the airbag. It is a valve stem remover. A T25. Obviously you don't need any power tools, you could just use hand tools, and my electric ratchet. Alright, so we're going to start off by removing this weather stripping right here. Then it just pulls off. Secondly, we're going to remove this little weather stripping piece, plastic piece right here. This also just literally pulls out and we can push it off to the side. What we're doing here is we're going to be disconnecting, which I already had done, the negative battery cable to the battery. If you use a 10 mil, loosen it up, pull it off, and then you're able to just pull this out and kind of toss it up on the vehicle over here. This disables, the electronics of the vehicle, because you're working on an airbag. You don't want to have any battery power to the airbag just in case, something happens. So disconnect the negative terminal to the battery before working on anything else on the vehicle right now. Alright, so first things first, inside the vehicle, we're gonna have to remove the airbag. So after the battery is disconnected, we're gonna be removing the airbag, which is done by using a T25, but I prefer to use a valve stem removal tool, which I'll show you in a second, which makes this much easier than a T25. I'm going to remove the airbag, and then I'll show you, because it's a little easier to show you with the airbag off the vehicle than on the vehicle. So I'm going to remove the airbag right now, and then I'll explain exactly how to remove it once it's removed. Alright, so now I have this airbag disconnected or unattached from the steering wheel. It's loose. If I touch right now, it'll fall, but I'm going to show you right now exactly how to do that off of the steering wheel. So looking at the new steering wheel that I have here, there are 3 detents or holes in the back of the steering wheel. There's one here, there's one here, and there's also one here. Basically what you're going to be doing is you're going to be inserting your valve stem removal tool into these 3 holes, and depressing some springs, 3 springs or 3 locations of springs that basically retain the airbag into the steering wheel. So the tool will be inserted into the back of these 3 locations on the steering wheel. Looking at the back of the airbag, these are the retention springs, 1, 2, and 3 that you're going to be depressing, which retain in these 3 locations, 1, 2, well, these two, and then also on the bottom of the steering wheel. So if I can show it here. So this is exactly what it's going to look like from the back of the steering wheel, right? You're going to press on the spring. The spring is going to move out from this little position here and unlock it from the right side, the left side, and the bottom of the steering wheel. And the reason why I use the valve stem removal tool is because it has this little focus. It has a little detent in the valve stem removal tool, and it fits like perfectly on the spring, so it doesn't slip off. Whereas the recommended, I think, T25 is just a flat surface that you're using to push on. It's always slipping off or it doesn't sit on properly. This sits on perfect, Works every time. Just push, click, and pops right out. So next step. All right, so once you have the airbag removed from the steering wheel, what you're gonna do is you're gonna disconnect this connector, and also this connector, and remove these wirings from the detents in the steering wheel. All right, so now with those connectors disconnected, this one also, you don't have to actually disconnect yet. You can just, as of now, just to make it easier, just pull it out with, it's just held in by a little clip. But after all the connectors are disconnected, you can simply just pull the steering wheel straight off. It's not held on by anything else. And we will move on to the next step of switching over all of the trim, taking the airbag off of the actual steering wheel electronics, and start switching stuff over to the new steering wheel. Alright, so with both the steering wheels set out here, really all you have to do to disconnect the airbag from the steering wheel is just disconnect this one simple connector. Alright, so if you're switching over the controls from a completely new steering wheel base, or from an old one to a new one, you're gonna need to remove these two T25 Torx. After you remove the two T25 Torx, these control panels both pull right out of these rubber inserts, both sides. Once both sides are removed from their little retention areas, all you need to do is feed out this cable from behind the steering wheel. That'll be removing both control panels. Okay, so with the controls removed over here, then we're going to remove this trim here, which is removed the exact same way that the control panels are removed. They literally just pry right out of these rubber inserts. And with that being removed, that leaves us with an empty old steering wheel and onto building the new steering wheel. Alright, so now with all the trim, the controls, everything else removed from the other one, we're going to start reinstalling all this stuff. Simply, this is just going to get pushed into here. That just literally just gets pushed into those inserts. This plug right here plugs into this side control. This plug over here just sits in there. There's no other extra connector or plug or anything like that. And then you just refeed this wire back behind those same components on the steering wheel, and I will move on to the next step. Alright, now we've installed the trim, we've installed the left controls, we've installed the right controls, and we've refitted this wire best we could back behind these little recesses here. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to reinsert the Torx into the back of the steering wheel, and then everything's going to be resecured, and it's going to be ready to go back into the car. Okay, Torx are installed, just hand tight, literally just there to hold the controls in place. No torque specs needed. Alright, so back in the car, we're going to reinstall the steering wheel back onto the column, like just at the beginning of the video. You're going to want to make sure the steering wheel is straight, just like at the beginning how I told you, make sure that you keep the steering wheel straight and the wheel straight when you take it off, because it's only going to go back in the same direction due to some retention places here and here. So reinstall the steering wheel now. Boom, back on there. As you can see, steering wheel straight, everything's good to go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to reinstall this bolt. This is a 62 Newton meter torque spec with the bolt. Alright, so now with the bolt torqued, 62 Newton meters, we are going to start reinstalling the airbag, and that is the last step. So all the stuff that we disconnected from before, so we're going to reconnect this guy. We're going to reconnect the connectors from the airbag, which include this to here, and also this connector to here. All right, so it was a little difficult to record and connect all the airbag stuff together at the same time. So basically I'm just gonna explain what I did. Explain what I did is super simple. Those connectors that are behind there, you're gonna reconnect those to the airbag, and then all you're gonna do is you're gonna set this airbag in place. And once it's in place, you're gonna give it just one good shove, and it's gonna seat the 1, 2, 3 spring locations, recessed locations in the steering wheel. And that is it. Then at that point, you have your new steering wheel installed in your vehicle. At this point, all you have to do is reconnect your negative battery terminal and then go take it for a test drive and make sure that all your functions work. So your cruise control, your speed settings, your phone, your voice to talk, your push to talk, volume, and all your other selection settings. If everything works, then you are set and you have your brand new steering wheel. It's fairly simple, fairly straightforward, only a few hand tools that you need to do it. So hopefully it helps somebody. Thanks for watching, appreciate it.